Hi, this is Matthew Tweedy, and welcome to episode 1 of The Power of Practice.
Welcome to the Power of Practice podcast with Matthew Tweedy. Discover how to leverage the potential of your unconscious mind so you can create an abundant and empowered existence. Here's your host, Matthew Tweedy.
Hi, this is Matthew Tweedy. I want to start off by telling you all a little bit about myself and why I'm here creating this podcast. My background and my first quote-unquote real job was in property development and construction management, both in the residential and commercial space. I come from a long line of construction workers, and I actually studied at university to gain a Bachelor of Construction Management and Economics. In essence, building a physical structure from raw materials. Over time, I found that I was unsatisfied with what I was doing, and it wasn't what you'd call my true calling. Through doing some research and soul searching, I actually stumbled across the field of NLP. I'm now a qualified clinical hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and master of NLP. So certainly two opposite sides of the spectrum. Beginning my work life in the construction industry, working with the physical realm, bricks and mortar. And now moving into the pure mental realm, working with matters of the mind and how the mind affects the body. The major similarity between these two fields is essentially this. If you build a home with poor foundations, your footings aren't deep enough, you use the wrong materials, then you're going to have a structural problem for the lifetime of a dwelling. If these problems aren't resolved and the foundation or the root cause is not addressed, then the house is likely to fall down on top of your head, injuring you or your loved ones or both. Equally so, if we don't have the right foundations in our mindsets when we're learning, developing, growing, and making important decisions in our lives, that faulty foundation could set us up for major structural and fundamental flaws that could risk the integrity of our desired results. So now that you know a little bit about me, what is this podcast all about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, as the title suggests, it's all about practice. Practice for the big game. But that's what life really is all about, isn't it? Constant practice. Practice makes perfect. Moving towards and getting the goals that you want, but in the fashion that's going to assist you to enjoy what you're doing. I think about all of the goals that I have set out to achieve in my life, and whether I've got them or not, how much pleasure or pain was involved in that journey. At times in my life, I certainly feel as if I had to get things perfect. Now, working with people in the capacity of a therapist and a coach with hypnosis and NLP and all of these wonderful tools of human potential, you find that's a common pattern. You know, I'm a perfectionist. I have to do things right. So I work with a lot of people where I notice that I have an affinity to them. I see this perfectionism streak, and you know, like many of the most powerful assets that a human being has, our greatest strength can be our greatest weakness too. It's often what I find anyway. So I got to get it perfect. Getting it perfect, here's the problem that I've found with that one. I might never actually do anything because if I don't do it, I can't fail. Enter the quandary of, call it analysis paralysis, call it cognitive dissonance, or just call it being frozen in the headlights. Honestly, it's a story I know all too well. So this podcast really is all about that. The power of practice is also about the problem with perfectionism. Popping peas profusely, I know. It's a paradox too, because I know in order for anything to get done, we've got to put pressure on ourselves, correct? But it's also that pressure that I put on myself, that one puts on oneself, that creates pain and suffering in life. But you can't make a diamond without pressure, right? And then the flip side, go easy on oneself. And we have to be kind to ourselves. We do need to go easy on ourselves. I totally agree with that. That too easy and nothing gets done. So I guess that leads me to the quest that we're all on, I believe, and it is finding that balance between pressure and ease, finding one's edge and then not diving off the deep end, and also coming to know that nothing will ever be perfect, nothing ever comes to an end. All we can ever do is our best, and not letting ourselves off the hook and underperforming. So it's all part of the journey. Power of practice is really about this journey that I've been on my entire life, that we're all on, that everything is practice. And in fact, even the interesting and poignant part of beginning this process of this podcast, I certainly have had this idea for a long time that I really wanted to share some of these tools and strategies that I've been learning over the years in the field of hypnosis and NLP, and my own development and helping people become their best, and so on and so forth. And I really found that I put it off because I wasn't sure. Have I got everything lined up? Is it going to be the way I want it to be? Is it going to be perfect? As we all know, it never will be perfect, and I need some practice. So within the process of initiating and taking action on this podcast and just going for it, I get to exercise the power of practice to move towards better and better. And do some healing in the process. That's ultimately what I'm aiming for, to do some healing. And if I can share some of these tips and tricks and life hacks with you all, then I believe I'm achieving the goal I set out for. Throughout this journey that we're embarking on, I really want to have a look at what it takes to set goals, to attain them, and all of the psychology behind that. Why do we want what we want? what helps us get there, what limits us, and how to go beyond those limits. The strategies that people that I admire have employed to create the outcomes that they desire, whether that be in relationships, business, career, health and fitness, and understanding those strategies of genius and excellence to be able to create abundance and just make life easier. Wouldn't that be fun? Things to just be a little bit easier. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining me on this journey. I'm really excited to share with you the ups, the downs, and some insights on the power of practice on this journey to balance, equilibrium, and some semblance of something I'm happy to stand behind, put my name on, as we all want to have pride in what we do. And it's something I really do want to get out there to people that could benefit from the things I'll be sharing. So I'm going to ask a favor. I'm going to ask if you could please leave me a review on iTunes and rate the podcast. That would be so helpful to help me get out there and get this message out to people. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast also, so you don't miss out on any episodes. So keep growing and evolving, and we'll see you on the next episode.